Top stories tonight. House of Representatives urge federal government to suspend Samak agreement. President Tinubu creates Ministry of Livestock Development to stop farmers' herders clash. Niger Delta Development Commission proposes 1.9 trillion naira for 2024 budget. Liberian President Oborevwori takes 40% pay cut amid dwindling economy. Glad you're here. I am Felicity Izuwike. We begin the news at this hour by telling you that Nigeria's House of Representatives has urged the federal government to suspend the implementation of the recently signed Samoa Agreement, which has been an issue of controversy pending the conclusion of an investigation into the matter. This followed the adoption of a motion calling the attention of the House to some allegedly offensive clauses which lawmakers say are noted in the agreement. Lawmakers, while expressing divergent views, urged the House to reject the Samoa Agreement entirely while calling for the suspension of its implementation.
That the phrase gender equality, as reported, is a Trojan horse for deceptively bringing in all sorts of immorality to our country, as gender no longer means sexes, male and female, as traditionally understood. It now includes homosexualism, lesbianism, transgenderism, and animalism. Further worried that the signing of such an agreement with the aforementioned clauses, if true, violate our sovereignty and is a clear contravention of Section 12(1) of 99 Constitution as amended.
There is no portion of that agreement that talks about LGBTQ or 150 billion. Hold on, let me finish. If you have it, bring it out here. I'll show it. In fact, 3 ministers have come out, including information, budget, and planning, in public to say there was nothing like that in the agreement.
This is the amendment. Mr. Speaker, agreement upon agreement has been signed by Nigeria in order to improve the Nigerian economy. But Mr. Speaker, everybody knows that instead for the economy to progress, it's now retrogressing like a wildfire. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we urge and we tell everybody, no matter how much money Nigeria is going to get from this thing, the handlers of the current economy could not fix the economy. Therefore, this should be rejected in totality.
A constitutional amendment bill to improve women's representation in Parliament through the introduction of special seats has killed second reading in the House of Representatives. The lawmakers were on Tuesday divided on the bill. While some wholly supported it, others called for critical observation as they drew attention to the provision of the Constitution that warned against making discriminatory laws. The bill had failed in the Constitution amendment process of the Night Assembly when it was voted against by Parliament. Now, the Nigerian Customs Service, Apapa Area Command, has disclosed a record-breaking 1.23 trillion naira revenue for the first half of 2024. This figure represents a remarkable 143% increase compared to the corresponding period last year, when collection stood at 421.3 billion naira. News Centre's maritime correspondent Norma Obi Asualo reports.
The Apapa Area Command of the Nigerian Customs Service has reported a remarkable 143% increase in revenue for the first half of the year. During a press conference in Lagos, Comptroller Babatunde Olomu announced a record-breaking revenue of 1.23 trillion naira despite a significant reduction in trade volume.
Robust intelligence gathering for enhanced revenue collection.
The controller emphasized that this achievement underscores customs' dedication to enhancing trade facilitation. This commitment has not only led to increased revenue, but also significantly improved the ease of doing business. These efforts have effectively minimized revenue losses and strengthened collaboration with government agencies and private sector stakeholders.
For the first half of 2024, that is between January to June, the command generated a total of 1,323,663,842,255 naira 63 kobo. This shows an increase of 143% over and above the figures of 421,382,166,378 naira 46 kobo collected in the corresponding period in 2023.
In a demonstration of its anti-smuggling efforts, the controller showcased 6 containers seized at the bonded terminals. The containers held prohibited items, including expired pharmaceuticals and unregistered products. 3 of the containers were loaded with 7,580 cartons of frozen poultry products with a duty-paid value totaling 424 million naira.
NAFDAC had repeatedly announced that it's not safe for human consumption. Why is it not safe? Chemicals used in the preservation of corpses and dead bodies are mostly injected into these products to extend their shelf lives. And this is why we have incidents of cancer here and there.
Olomu stressed the importance of proactive measures to mitigate revenue leakages, focusing on intensified inspections of bonded terminals overseen by their Papa Command. In Lagos, for News Central, Norma Obiaswalo.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the establishment of a new Ministry of Livestock Development. This announcement was made as he inaugurated the Renewed Hope Livestock Reform Implementation Committee at the State House in Abuja on Tuesday. The committee is tasked with providing sector-focused solutions to address the long-standing farmers-herders conflict. On September 14, 2023, the National Livestock Reforms Committee recommended the creation of a Ministry of Livestock Resources to help reduce the decades-long violent conflict between farmers and nomadic cattle herders across the country. The establishment of the new ministry is part of 21 recommendations in a document submitted to the President aimed at enhancing the federal government's comprehensive response to the ongoing violence. To discuss this, I'm being joined by the managing partner, Nigeria Farmers Group and Cooperative Society, Retson Tedheke. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's nice being here. It's nice being in the program. Thank you.
It's our pleasure to have you. How do you think the new livestock ministry will shake things up in the government, which other departments might also feel the impact?
Well, like I've always said, agriculture is the foundation of national development. And Nigeria has a lot of opportunity to become the greatest nation in Africa when it comes to agricultural productivity. And livestock management is one area that Nigeria needs to work on. And so it's a good thing that the president deemed it fit to set up an independent agency that is dedicated towards this process. Now, if you look at it in context, the American cowboy industry is worth about $500 billion. The American cowboy and the Fulani herdsman are one and the same person. So when the American looked at the economy of cattle production and management and an industry around it, we look at the sentiment. A ministry like this will come in and look at the benefit and the capacity of this industry to create opportunities, not just in the area of jobs, not just in the area of industrial development, but also in the area of export. Because you have about 20 million cattle in Nigeria that are really poor when it comes to nutritional value, when it comes to dairy value and all the rest. So this agency or ministry, if it is utilized properly, will be similar to what Buhari was trying to do with the NLTP. Focus on productivity, focus on growth, focus on making the economy work, and then focus on what Nigerians have locally. We have a lot of cattle, we have a lot of land, and we can utilize that for the greater good of the Nigerian state. So it's a very good thing when it comes to economic development and growth for our country.
All right, what about the Renewed Hope Committee? How do we make sure they're really listening to the people on the ground, farmers, herders, and local communities, and most importantly, incorporating what feedback they get?
Well, unfortunately, I would say that is one area that the government has not really gotten it right. Because for a project like this to work, you need to go after those who are actually actively engaged, not just in cattle management, but also in agriculture. Now, I often say that one of the challenge of cattle rearing in Nigeria is when you talk about open grazing and ranching. Nigeria cannot ranch. It is not because we don't want to ranch. It is because the resources that is necessary for ranching makes it almost impossible for anybody to say you want to put cattle in a ranch. And so what they should do, this committee that is set up, is to look at the challenges around ranching, is to look at the cost implication around ranching. And with a ministry like this, what you do is to focus on where are the problem spots, where are the challenging areas. I am in Nasarawa State. I'm speaking to you from the farm, from a farm estate in Nasarawa State, in Gati, Kokona local government area. Now, what have I been able to do? What we have been able to do is to build a farm estate that is a ruga in the bush. I have all of the facilities I need. So the cattle are properly managed. You have grazing reserves in the farm. You have all the facilities that is needed to make sure that the cattle are actually well taken care of. So if you cannot have a ranch, you can have cattle structures. You can have farm estate like this that are utilized for the purpose of managing these cattle so that they can become, you hold them in a place, become more nutritional, they have more nutritional value, become more effective for the greater good of the Nigerian state. So yes, the committee has a lot of work to do. Focus on those who are actually doing the job, not portfolio farmers. You cannot do agriculture by sitting in the state capitals and not going to rural Nigeria. The challenge is in rural Nigeria. The opportunities are in rural Nigeria. The focus should be on rural Nigeria. That is what the committee has to do. But if the committee follow all the other committees and then what you are doing is sit in Abuja and then begin to look at solutions, it's not going to work.
Okay. Do you think there will be opportunities for private companies to partner with the government on livestock projects? And if that is the case, how would they be able to strike a balance between profit and public interest?
The challenge of agriculture in Nigeria is the fact that we make the mistake of thinking agriculture is a profitable venture when it comes to government. That is why you heard all these stories about Anchor Bora's program here and there. Look, the business of government is the security of life and property. One of the core components of security of life and property is food security. So the first things first is that the infrastructure must be available. The structures have to be in place. Low financing must be available, and government must do what government should do, provide the necessary support for the private sector to come and work. If government does not provide the infrastructural support, if rural infrastructure is not available, if mechanical infrastructure is not available, if foundational infrastructure is not available, if financial infrastructure is not available, there is nothing the private sector can do. In my case, in our case here, imagine you are providing light yourself, you are providing dam yourself, you are providing road yourself. The challenge then becomes the cost of production will be too high and the prices of cow, dairy, and the rest will be too much for the average man or the common man to be able to afford. So what government must do is to come in and do what government should do. Loans at 30%, interest rates are too much. So even if the Ministry of Livestock Management is there, how are cattle farmers going to be able to have access to the money they need to set up ranches? So it should be an entire structure dedicated towards solving not just the problem of herders and farmers clash, but also the economies of production when it comes to dairy, when it comes to beef, and when it comes to the entire cattle industry. That is exactly
there's so much indeed. There's so much indeed to talk about with this new ministry. We're hoping we can have further conversations in the coming days. Thank you very much for your input.
Thank you for having me.
Genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, have become a significant part of the food supply chain. But how safe are they from a medical perspective? Are there any long-term effects of consuming GMOs? News Center's correspondent Bettina Ueli explores the science behind GMO foods and their health impact.
Genetically modified foods are created by altering the DNA of plants and animals to enhance desirable traits such as pest resistance, improved nutritional content, and higher yield. But how does this impact human health?
We have been doing a lot of researches on GMO foods. GMO foods are not good for human consumption. They cause cancer. They cause a lot of affliction, disease, and whatever you can think of. Through the researches we've done, we are totally against it.
The consensus among major health organizations, including the World Health Organization and the National Academy of Sciences, is that GMO foods currently available on the market are safe to eat. Even with the assumption that they may not be safe, some Nigerians are left with no alternative, considering the economic inflation as well as the inability to differentiate between GMO and non-GMO foods.
I'll buy it because there's nothing to buy. Because most food out there now, they are almost all the same.
It's said not to be too healthy, based on what I've heard in the past, that because of the fact that they use things like fertilizers to build up such, it might not be too, but they're always cheaper. Even in developed world, it's like that.
Technically, GMO foods are already on the spread because, so while technically eating GMO foods, our beings are genetically modified already. So we are all still eating GMO foods. So there's no debate, but there have been debates about its risks, but it hasn't been proven yet.
Despite scientific consensus, public concerns remain. It's essential to address these concerns transparently and based on facts.
One can assume that is something that is safe for people to use, right? But again, we need to see what the long-term implications are. There's been a lot of debates and argument around its safety and all that. But here in Nigeria, we are yet to hear from the government, even though recently there's a rumor that the government of Nigeria has said that it is safe for use, right? We also have other agencies, the Ministry of Science and Technology is there, we have NAFDAC and other agencies that can, look into this and then tell us if GMO is, safe for us or not.
While it's natural to have concerns, genetically modified foods have been a part of human diet for decades, and extensive research supports their safety. According to the American Association for the Advancement of Science, genetically modified crops and genetically modified organisms are the most extensively tested crops added to the food supply. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
The Niger Delta Development Commission has presented its 2024 budget proposal of about 1,911,800 billion naira to the House of Representatives for consideration and possible approval. The management of the commission, while appearing before the House Committee on the NDDC, says that the commission hopes to source about 1 trillion naira from its proposed budget from commercial banks.
The ceremonial presentation of the 2024 budget proposal of the Niger Delta Development Commission. The performance of previous budgets of the commission was ruled out by the management as they called for speedy approval of the new proposal.
Within the President's one-year anniversary commemoration, we were able to commission some landmark projects such as the 27.5-kilometer route in Bayelsa, linking Oborevwori to Nembe, that has about 7 bridges and 50 culverts. Then the transmission and injection substation in Okitukupa that gives light to about 5 local governments that have been in darkness for 15 years.
The management says that the 2024 budget proposal will focus on critical infrastructure in the Niger Delta region, with an estimate of over 800 billion naira.
1 trillion that is being borrowed. First thing first, let us place it on record that this money is going to be tied to specific projects, because the marching order that was given to us by Mr. President is to ensure that all abandoned legacy projects must be completed.
The chairperson of the House of Representatives Committee on the NDDC expressed Parliament's commitment to ensure thorough examination of the budget proposal for the good of the people of the Niger Delta.
It is, however, our responsibility as a committee to scrutinize every detail of the proposal to ensure that we are making the best decision for the organization and the people of the region and stakeholders.
To enable lawmakers conduct proper scrutiny of the proposal before them, the chairperson of the NDDC committee urged the NDDC management to make available the last 2 budgets of the commission. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
Coming up, civil society groups call for support for NNPCL. We'll tell you more about this when we come back. Just stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. House of Representatives urges federal government to suspend Samoa agreement. President Tinubu creates Ministry of Livestock Development to stop farmers-herders clash. Niger Delta Development Commission proposes 1.9 trillion naira for 2024 budget. And Liberian president takes 40% pay cut amid dwindling economy. Now, in the wake of the long queues resurfacing in some states across Nigeria, a coalition of civil society groups has called on Nigerians, to avoid panic buying and support the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL. The group explained that distribution of petroleum products is not solely the responsibility of the NNPCL, but other stakeholders who should play their part so as to ensure smooth sale and distribution of petroleum products across the country. News Center's Bernard Ekede has more in this report.
Long fuel queues are again beginning to spring up in Abuja and other parts of the country. As Nigerians are getting agitated, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, and oil marketers are shifting blame on the actual cause of the current spate of petrol supply shortage in the country. This back and forth has prompted a response from a coalition of civil society groups in Lagos who have commended the efforts of the NNPCL, stating that the job of petroleum product distribution should not be left to the NNPCL alone, but other stakeholders who need to equally pull their weight.
To have a sustainable solution to the sector's challenges, it requires a concerted effort from all stakeholders. These stakeholders, include, the oil marketers, the depot owner, the workers, even the media. You have amplified a lot of issues around this, product supply scarcity challenges on a number of times. And of course, us as a civil society. And we believe that every stakeholder at this point must come to join hand with the NNPC Limited in collaborative approach.
Here in Lagos, the nation's commercial city, the situation is slightly different. Stations like the one you can see behind me, NNPCL, are the ones that have long queues right in front of them. And this is because these are the stations that sell at the cheapest prices. For other stations that sell at higher prices, they are either closed or they hardly have any queues in front of them. Different stations selling at different prices for those who have products available, while for those who don't, they remain short. There are concerns that some Nigerians may soon engage in panic buying. The coalition group believes the petroleum industry needs to allow for more engagement with the people, and the citizens need to show more concern for the NNPCL and the industry in general.
In essence, what we are saying is that there is need for the oil and gas sector to open its door of citizens' engagement. We have done this before, and many of us have understood it with the police and the security agencies. If you see something, say something. If you know any filling station extorting or hoarding the product, please reach out to the NNPC.
In order to address this looming fuel crisis, the NNPC has ordered that its stations across the country be open for extra hours so that Nigerians can purchase petroleum products. The hope is that this action by the NNPC will ensure that the crisis would reduce and that other stations will have the products to sell and distribute to the country. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
Join me on the news to discuss this is Chartered Accountant Aki Fatunke. Aki, it's good to have you on the news.
Always a pleasure to be here, Felicity. Thank you.
What impact do you think the ongoing fuel shortage will have on inflation rates and the cost of living for the average Nigerian?
I dare say huge, Felicity. I mean, it's no rocket science. Naturally, logistics will go up. Smuggling will be on the increase, black markets will strive, and then what then do you expect for food inflation that is over 40%? Even urban inflation, before you can say Robinson before Jack, everything's going up. At a time when you know that the cost of living itself is gone beyond the roof. The electricity tariff that we are battling with? Is it trying to secure water for yourself? Not a single drop to drink, said Lord Tennyson. Or is it the cost of trying to dispose your waste? The rural inflation too will be on the slide. Now, the rickety transportation that we have in urban areas will naturally want to be on the road. And if they are going to be on the road, they will have to go to the black market. Now, for you and I, Felicity, who are neither here or there, and we have to do our normal businesses, you get late to the office if you have to go to the office. And if you are not careful, the spate of kidnapping that we see all around, people wanting to rush into one chance, will just be there. So cost of living will go up. The basket of goods that I know that the Hope Agenda is asking the subnational governments to try and see how they can do farm to market is naturally going to be affected. I dare say it's not looking very rosy.
How does this consistent fuel scarcity, in your view, affect foreign investment and investor confidence in the Nigeria's economy?
Again, huge, because it does not help you to plan. So if you want to bring your FDI, if you want to do manufacturing, you are conscious of the fact that people that you need, even though they may be working remotely, they are not happy. They are storing fuel at home. They are doing panic buying. And they see beyond the analysis that I am putting across here. So why exactly do we have fuel scarcity? Again, it goes down to the point that government is being opaque. It's not been, we've not been told the truth. Why do we have fuel scarcity? NNPCL is the sole importer. Back in the day when some of us were in oil and gas, the moments that you talk about, you could go out there to go import fuel. But then we had challenge, even at that time, during Mrs. Okudjemwe last time, I'm talking about Jonathan's time, challenge with Forex. And they are all linked one way or the other. Because the plant, that is the cost of the crude. Once it goes up, naturally, you have to pay more subsidies. And when you pay more subsidies and your revenue is dwindling, what it therefore means is that you are borrowing, and naturally borrowing, at a time when we are still talking about minimum wage, living wage, that's not there. And the floods that are ravaging the countryside, I like to say that investors naturally are shaky. They are looking at it. If you remember, Felicity, when we started the policy of the regulation gone, which we have really not implemented the way it should be implemented, I dare say, and we end up now paying subsidies. Who is bearing the cost? Where is that money coming from? So the lack of opaqueness is not engendering investors to want to come. Little reason why quite a number of manufacturing firms are voting with their legs out of the country. And Japa, again, is on the increase. Yes.
I mean, just this one, in the interest of time, what policy measures could help mitigate the economic impact of fuel shortages and prevent similar crises in the future?
Felicity is truth. Truth. Let's tell ourselves the truth. Let's implement what we should implement with utmost good faith, with the Oborevwori Fide. We were talking about Port Harcourt to have come maybe about 1.5 years ago. It still promises. And when come becomes like K.O. Mbadiwe, who will want to put it, we find that everything is on nothing. Again, Dangote refinery, everything now seems to be looking at the Dangote. We hear that Dangote will come on stream. I heard that about 2-3 months ago. We really don't know what to believe. The real solution is the full deregulation appropriately implemented with all the stakeholders coming together to just ensure. Because what that is going to do is going to help the planning. How much of fuel go for? Our refineries should work. Another subject entirely for another day. If those refineries are not going to work, the modular refineries, what are we?
I think the key word here from what you said is appropriately implemented, whatever the plans are, and consistency with our policies. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Always a pleasure, Felicity. Thank you.
Governor of Delta State, South Nigeria, Sheriff Oborevwori, Tuesday said the ban on commercial motorcycle, popularly known as Okada, had led to a noticeable reduction in the crime rate in Asaba and environs. Governor Oborevwori disclosed this when he received on courtesy call the Forum of Female Permanent Secretaries in the state, led by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of the Environment. The governor said no effort would be spared in creating a conducive work environment for civil servants to operate, apart from giving them platforms to be trained and retrained for maximum productivity.
What started in Asaba and Warri, we actually need it now. Now that the people are clamoring that there should be no Okada in Asaba. Since the issue of Okada, since the ban of Okada in Asaba, the crime has reduced. If you see reduced. Initially, I was reluctant. Let's say you say we need to do this. Security agencies say we need to do this. They even go to the inside the Chicago, kidnap people and do so many things. But today, I think those things have already reduced by the grace of God. We will think of this best solution to provide transport for our people, especially the civil servant.
Still ahead, Liberian president takes pay cut. We have details after the break. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us. Liberia's President, Joseph Boakai, has announced a 40% reduction in his salary, aiming to set a precedent for responsible governance in the West African nation. Boakai, who began his 6-year term in January, has committed to improving living conditions, combating corruption, and upholding the rule of law. A statement from the presidency highlighted that the president's voluntary pay cut reflects his determination to lead by example in strengthening government accountability and demonstrating solidarity with the people of the nation. Previously earning a gross annual salary of $13,400, Boakai's new salary will be approximately $8,000. His assets and declaration in June which was published as a transparency measure, listed his net worth at $970,419, primarily in property. The declaration did not specify any additional allowances on top of his salary. It will indeed be interesting to see if other African countries will replicate such exemplary leadership. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we have business news for you. Just stay with us.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Welcome to Business News. We begin in Nigeria. The number of active internet service providers, or ISPs, in Nigeria dropped to 242 in July from 252 in May as operators failed to renew their licenses. Challenges faced by ISPs include anti-competition practices, inadequate spectrum, high bandwidth costs, and lack of good corporate governance. The launch of 5G by MTN and Airtel led some enterprise customers to switch to 5G routers, worsening competition with ISPs. The leading ISPs had 262,206 active customers in the first quarter of 2024, while the four major mobile operators had 163.8 million active internet subscriptions. The final award by the International Arbitration Tribunal in the Eni and Vito versus Ghana and GNPC case is in favor of Ghana. Eni and Vito's monetary damages claim initially at $7 billion was denied, and the claim was reduced to $915 million plus interest during the proceedings. All claims against GNPC were dismissed. The tribunal rejected a request to declare Ghana in breach of the petroleum agreement, but found that the unitization directives breached the agreement. Ghana's sovereign right to unitize oil fields was affirmed, while each party will bear its own legal fees and costs. In East Africa, Kenya has imposed a new obstacle on Uganda's direct fuel import scheme by doubling the bond fee for consignment destined for Kampala to $45 million. This increase poses a challenge to Uganda's efforts to lower pump prices. The Vito Tank Terminal International VTTI storage facility in Mombasa, which connects to the Kenya Pipeline Company pipeline network, has seen the bond fee requirement rise from $15 million. This change is expected to impact consumers in Uganda, as it may lead to increased costs and demurrage charges. The Bank of Tanzania BOT has decided to maintain the benchmark lending rate at 6% until September 30. This move aims to stimulate consumer and business spending and sustain economic recovery. The BOT's decision aligns with other central banks in the region, including Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda, which are cautiously easing their monetary policies to boost spending power and support economic growth. The BOT expects the Tanzanian economy to continue growing strongly with adequate food supply, improved infrastructure, and increased foreign exchange inflows. That's a package on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasome Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Up next is sports.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
In sport, with a few days to the kickoff of the table tennis event at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, the International Table Tennis Federation has re-enlivened the feat achieved by Nigeria's duo of Segun Toriola and Olufunke Oshonaike and three others for competing in 7 Olympic Games. According to a statement released by the ITTF, the Olympic Games is a breeding ground for legends, but within this elite company exists an even more exclusive circle, Club 7. Oshonaike, the only woman in Club 7, featured at the Olympic Games in 1996, 2004, 2008, 2012, 2016 and 2020. For Toriola, the world body set the African Games table tennis record holder who featured at the Olympic Games in 1992, 1996, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012 and 2016 set the pace for others to follow. Others in the league of Club 7 include Jean-Michel Savier of Belgium and Swedish legend Hågen Persson. Away from table tennis, Nigeria is set to host its inaugural Combat Games, which will take place this year from November 25th to December 1st, 2024, as announced by Musa Oshodi, Vice Chairman of the Organizing Committee and Judo Federation President. The event aims to bring various combat sports under one umbrella, enhancing the visibility and competitiveness of Nigerian athletes globally. Oshodi emphasized collaboration among different martial arts disciplines, inspired by the structure of the World Combat Games held in Saudi Arabia in 2023. The event will showcase a diverse lineup of sports, including arm wrestling, boxing, fencing, judo, karate, kickboxing, mixed martial arts, strongman competition, taekwondo, and wrestling, with the venue yet to be chosen. And now to football, cash-strapped Bodo, who are in talks with Liverpool owners Fenway Sports Group, were provisionally relegated to the 3rd division on Tuesday because of lack of financial guarantees, the French Football League announced. Club owner Gerard Lopez did not attend the meeting, but representatives of US Group Fenway were present and have appealed the decision. A first hearing on June 27 had granted a stay of proceedings amid discussions with Fenway, who are looking to invest €100 million over 6 years in the club. Bodo have appealed and have 2 weeks to finalize the sale of the club. They need to show between 30 and 40 million euros in their account to play in League 2 for a 3rd consecutive season. The 6-time French champions last won the Ligue 1 in 2009. And to wrap up sports update, French marathon runner Mehdi Frere, selected for the Paris Olympics, has been banned for 2 years for breaching anti-doping rules, his lawyer Laurien Fellows said on Tuesday. 27-year-old Frere is accused of missing 3 anti-doping tests in the space of a year, a so-called whereabout offense. He was suspended for the Olympics subject to conditions and had to sit out the European Championships in June while his whereabout case was being considered. His lawyer said he was attempting to appeal the ban at the Court of Arbitration for Sport (CAS) and believes a decision before the Olympics is possible. Frere recorded a personal best of 2 hours, 5 minutes 43 seconds in 2023 and finished 20th in the World Cross Country Championship this year. And that wraps it up on Sports Update, and Favor Itwa.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Let's now bring you some entertainment update.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited. On Entertainment Tonight, Nigerian fast-rising musical sensation Taves is preparing to release his highly anticipated sophomore EP, Are You Listening? This new project follows his debut EP, which dropped in 2021. The 8-track EP is set to feature Benson, known for his distinctive voice and dynamic performances. Are You Listening is scheduled for release on July 12, 2024, and as the release date approaches, the buzz surrounding Taves and his latest project continue to build, promising an exciting next chapter in his already impressive career. Global sensation Eminem is finally embracing the title of White Rapper as part of a promotional collaboration with White Castle for his upcoming album. Announced on July 8th, the collaboration includes a limited-run Eminem X White Castle merch line featuring a White Rapper white tee with the phrase in White Castle font. This promotion coincides with the release of Eminem's 12th studio album, The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace, set to drop on July 12th, 2024. He also released a blood-soaked video for the single Tobe, directed by Cole Bennett. The album follows 2020's Music to Be Murdered By, which debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The first single from the new album, Houdini, debuted at #2, marking his best charting single this decade. The album hints at Eminem planning to bury some of his pasts. That's all on Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Away from entertainment, now in trends. Nigerian journalist and author David Yondane has sparked a series of online reaction to his statement on the podcast Noble Nigeria. The popular figures engage in a conversation about Nigeria's insecurity and insurgents in several parts of the nation, blaming Nigerians for their failure to stand up and demand change from our leaders. Citing the unforgettable EndSARS protests as an example, he said, "Till tomorrow I blame the celebrities and the FEMCO people. That was a very successful clout chase by FEMCO." Now, several people have reacted to this. One, Ralum Omadola, says, "I can't believe I'm listening to this. You just reduced the immense contribution of FEMCO to clout chasing. For real? You're denying they didn't give a lot to the much success that protests received. What's the difference between this and government denying the shooting?" A few more reactions have followed. This one by Chidi Okereke says, "The comments I have are plenty, but all I'll say is there's really no advantage to fighting for Nigeria. Aside the fact that it will likely end in tears, somebody will wake up one day and say you were chasing clout. Unfortunate." Momo Jojo says, "As a Nigerian woman, I don't think I'll ever ask a woman to protest for any Nigerian man's cause. This is the result. Let men fight for themselves." Kenneth Ojega says, "Nigerians are so slow, and I will keep saying it, that we are the most gullible and easy to deceive people. How FEMCO got away with what they did needs to be studied, and seeing people still defending them today tells you all you need to know about the average Nigerians. We don't think for ourselves." And finally, Oluwamayo says, "This FEMCO discourse does nothing but disincentivize the idea of personal sacrifice. Nigerians are the type of people you'll die for who'll turn around and piss on your grave." Several reactions have continued to follow. What are your thoughts? Well, that's much you can take on entertainment and trends. Back with the rest of the news.
And that's all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. House of Representatives urges federal government to suspend Samoa Agreement. President Tinubu has created Ministry of Livestock Development to stop farmers-herders clash. Also in the news, Niger Delta Development Commission proposes 1.9 trillion naira for 2024 budget. And of Nigeria, Liberian President Buhari has taken 40% pay cut amid dwindling economy. To send your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media at News Central TV, or you could choose to watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for your time. Have a good night.